of the proponents is that they are being historically, well, what's the name of the group is respectful planning. That they're being respectful of the community's history and its planning principles. Well, the area around the Gulf Stream was historically the, quote, hotel zone. And many years ago, there actually was a zoning district, the hotel zoning district. That was eliminated probably back in the 80s. By preventing, if the referendum passes, you're not going to be able to build more than a 45-foot building down there. I think I've already indicated that the Gulf Stream property, I think will, again, I can't say because I'm not going to be investing in the property, that someone couldn't come up with a plan that would be economically feasible with 4 stories as compared to 6, but it makes it more difficult. But there are other parcels around there. And realistically, and I was told, I wasn't at the meeting, that the proponents were asked if they would only exempt the few blocks around the bridge from this restriction so that a hotel could be built, make it more feasible for a hotel to be built on the Gulf Stream or other properties, and they refused. So the proponents refused, and Commissioner Mulvihill at the time, I believe, who was on the commission, also refused. That's probably her proposal. There, for example, look at the dollar store building down there. It was owned by Ken Wilmering, who may still. That was only put in there to get some economic value out of that property in the interim, rather than just sitting there as a vacant lot. I don't think Mr. Wilmering, if he still owns it, really intends in the long term for that property to be a dollar store from now until the end of time. There are only a few lots. If you look at what properties could possibly be redeveloped or developed as hotels, there are only a few properties from Federal Highway down to the bridge. Loretta's indicating 3. But they're going to be less economically. A hotel is going to require a significant amount of investment. You have to address your parking. You need a fair amount of land. And if you don't have a lot of land, you have to go up because of parking under. If you look in the city of West Palm Beach, the new hotel, I think that there's a new hotel they have down that's parking under. I'm sorry? Hyatt. Yes, the Hyatt. That's parking under. That's the way you have to address in a more urban setting where your parking needs are. Well, if you can only go up 4 stories and you have X number of rooms, and you have to have so many parking spaces per room, it's going to be much more difficult to do so. So I think that's just one example where I believe, if the only thing we had been talking about for a height restriction was the historic core between Dixie and Federal, I'd vote for it. We don't really want to see another Lucerne. I mean, to be honest, some people may live in Lucerne. It's a perfectly nice building, but it is an anomaly, and that's really, if you go back and to the source of all of this, it's the Lucerne, the Lucerne, the Lucerne, the Lucerne. And it's in an inappropriate location, but it wouldn't be inappropriate farther down in the area that was historically the hotel zone. Yes, Commissioner.
Frank, the new LDRs, the way they are right now, you couldn't come close to building the Lucerne again. But there's a lot of work that's been done.
Yeah, I wasn't part of the Lucerne, but I was part of the historic district, and the rules have been changed significantly to prevent that from happening again. Yes, Loretta.
Frank, I was at the meeting when they were trying to compromise it. People on the dais was trying to compromise with the drafters of this petition. And they gave them everything they wanted, except they wanted to keep from Federal Highway to Gulfview at what it is now, 65 feet. And I heard over and over and over from the audience, no compromise, no compromise, no compromise.
Sounds like a U.S. Congress.
Agreed with every single thing they wanted, except Federal Highway to Gulfview. And that was supposed to be a hotel zone. So I was at the meeting.
Well, again, it isn't necessarily going to prevent development in that area, but it's going to change the economics of it. And Lake Worth, I mean, to be honest, Lake Worth has some of this bad demographics from an investment perspective. Depending the higher end, the Gulfstream folks that I worked with, when they were bringing in their investors to Lake Worth, didn't bring them down Dixie Highway. They took them over Southern Boulevard and brought them around to Palm Beach. Because, you know, they were trying to promote, at the time, a high-end resort spa hotel, and they didn't want to bring them down Dixie Highway. Now, things have improved because since then, Dixie Highway, 6th and 10th have been just brought back up to decent quality. But you still have the appearance issues. So, depends on your market. In a different market, it might change. But it seems to me that this, again, it's only a 3-block strip between First Avenue South and 2nd Avenue North, from Circle to the Bridge. How does that improve or protect the quality of the neighborhood and the quality of life if you have this notion of cottage community? Yes, sir.
I was just curious if the information you have on the referendum, why the 35 feet west of F? Why is it stepped down there? Is there? I mean, I don't understand that. Why it would be lower that end of town?
I have no idea why that was done. I wasn't part of the process. I think that you now have the CRA is putting in some residential properties along there. I think there's an idea. You know, historically, that strip between Lake and Lucerne is kind of our public strip. You got City Hall. I mean, there were public buildings. Lake Worth originally was laid out pretty well. It's a little concept. This downtown core, people were brought into the center. We've since kind of dispersed things out into the community a bit more, and maybe that's appropriate. But there was an idea once to have City Hall, a new City Hall, relocated up into that area. From the traffic circle down, it's now being redeveloped as kind of residential and mixed use. And that would not, I guess, some people just don't want to have tall buildings, taller buildings. Yes.
So, you going to answer my question?
That's as close as I'm going to get. I am not a prophet about the city of Lake Worth.
You've been involved with Lake Worth for a long time. You want to see the city grow and get out of bankruptcy. They can't get out of bankruptcy unless we have some dollars coming in here. And I think there's a figure around, Greg, how many people came to Palm Beach County last year to stay in hotels?
I was at the luncheon today at the Forum Club Convention Center, and Governor Scott was, of course, touting about how we're turning our economy around. We had 89 million visitors, he said, visit Florida in 2012. 89 million visitors.
And stayed in hotels.
And my question was, I didn't ask, of course. Not one of those visitors stayed in a first-class, either boutique, whatever you define a boutique, or luxury hotel in the city of Lake Worth. Because we don't have one. Frank, let me ask. Since 1996, when we adjusted our height limits, I don't know if we went up or down or whatever it was. I think we went up. I believe that's what that was.
I think we had nothing before.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So anyhow, when we set that benchmark at 100 foot west of Dixie, 65 east of Dixie, as far as my recollection goes, and we went through probably one of the biggest real estate booms this state has seen in decades, if not, for the last 50 years or more. We only had 2 buildings built in the downtown corridor that were over 60 feet high. Is that right? Is that about right?
We live in hyperbole world.
What's that?
We live in hyperbole world.
Yeah.
Everything's overstated. Everything's so grand. Our threat is so imminent. The developers are going to rape us. We're going to be. I think part of it is that Lake Worth over the last 20 years had a number of major demographic changes. One was the old Finns started dying off, and when the old Finns died off, and the labor camps were closed in the Glades. It's less of a problem now. The companies bought up a lot of those old houses over here on the other side of Dixie, and they had agricultural workers living there. And you see the buses coming in and picking them up and taking them back out in the Glades. So that's kind of protected. That's one demographic. Then when City Place was, that used to be